Your conscious mind and finding your purpose in life and the power of your subconscious mind is the subject of today's For a Better Life podcast. And we're going to share a principle with the Course in Miracles that truly helps us cut through and understand really, I like to say cut through because cut through the fog is what I'm trying to say that's in our minds a lot of times about what really is, our purpose and our passion in life and what we're out after. So Course in Miracles can help us there. So I hope what I'm going to share there will help you today. But hey, everyone, James Nussbaumer, and thank you for joining me in another episode of For a Better Life podcast. Well, let's get going and let's discuss, things like, finding your purpose in life through understanding your real inner power. Excuse me, finding your purpose in life through, let's say, the power of the universe, maybe the power of your subconscious mind, can be difficult to truly understand. But in our conscious mind, there is much more to say about humankind, that has become the world's dreamer, we can say. And there's a difference between the conscious mind as humans and our real consciousness, which is of eternity. So I hope that this podcast today will help you know the difference. But yes, we are storytellers, as I'd written in a detailed blog article, which I'm going to send you to later on. But anyways, through the power of your subconscious mind, you do at times have little or bright glimpses, or a voice, we may say. And that is a revelation, if you will, if you can understand it that way. In other words, showing you that you truly are a co-creator with God. Now, use any other word you want, but a co-creator with your creator. So, we've always been co-creators with God, but a dream of sort that I discuss in all my books that are just really excelling, and I'm so happy with them. But in my book series, we talk about the dream of separation, and contemplating this dream of separation, so to speak, we could say, or if you will, can be a great right-minded way of looking at the world that you live in here today on this earth, and may help you realize more easily to begin finding your purpose in life. So, it's hard. Sometimes it's difficult, but it's how the world's most successful people think. There's a big hurdle. Sometimes it can be just a small little hump we have to get over. But here's what I mean. When the separation first occurred, let's go way back to like the Big Bang or Adam and Eve. When the separation first occurred, a level of perception called consciousness became a part of our mind. Not our brain, our mind, the essence of who we are beyond the body. But a separate part, I want to emphasize that, a separate part, if you will, but so elusive, so illusory, so of fantasy. Excuse me again. This level of conscious mind made itself a perceiver rather than a creator that is provided for you in the power within you. The power within you, not within your body, within your true essence. We could call that the subconscious mind, but the conscious mind is where the ego, which is built on fear and doubt and judgment and criticism and worry and all these kind of things. The conscious mind is where the ego built its domain, built on those things I just mentioned. And we have been making projections, assumptions, and perceiving all these things that really aren't so ever since. So as we discussed in another article that I would like to send you to later, and also in book 2 of my series called Mastering Your Own Spiritual Freedom, Lessons from A Course in Miracles, there's a whole complete chapter that I go into there on our minds our minds only seem to be no longer whole, but they also seem to be a confused state of mind, we could say, all right? But now occupied by the ego, which causes the confusion, because when we have fear and doubt and judgment and criticism and all that kind of thing, isn't there a bunch of confusion in that? So an imagination of the body being of who we are, which is a wrong-minded attempt to perceive yourself as who you wish, this is what's begun. And so the point is of this, I want to tap into in this podcast today to get you to understand the ego-based conscious mind that I had mentioned. Remember, I mentioned a little bit ago. There's our human consciousness and our real consciousness. So the ego-based conscious mind is our human consciousness. The ego-based mind, the ego-based conscious mind, human, we can say, helps you to make it difficult to know who you truly are. Okay, let's face it, the ego is human. Human means ego. When we can sense that we are something beyond the ego, beyond the body, that's when we have let go of ego. So, but the ego-based mind, which is the illusory aspect of our real mind that thinks, or we may say, dreams it is separate from God, the Father, or whatever term you want to use, is full of questions, including how it was made rather than how it was created. See, the ego is more concerned on making things happen rather than creating things to happen. The ego doesn't know how to create. The ego knows only how to strive for making things happen. So I hope that right there hits home with you. Wow. Now let me share this from the Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles teaches, actually it's A Course in Miracles, but in my article I've got it termed the Course in Miracles. But the ego, let me back up. A Course in Miracles states, the ego is good at asking questions, but not receiving meaningful answers where your true calling or purpose in life is concerned. So, think about this. This is so because any answers would involve knowledge, which is the power of your subconscious mind, and that cannot be perceived by the ego. The power of your subconscious, the power of your real inner power cannot be perceived by the ego. So with this, the conscious mind becomes confused, and finding your purpose in life can seem so very difficult because only one-mindedness, which is the consciousness that you have beyond the body, we could call that consciousness our connection at one and whole with our source, God, being one-mindedness. The power of your subconscious mind can be without confusion when you can understand it that way while living here in this world. So truly, through how can a divided and separated mind not be confused? Question mark. Okay, in the first book of the series called The Master of Everything, A Story of Mankind, a World of Illusion we call life, we explore deeply and talk about the ego-based mind is uncertain about what it really is. The ego-based mind is full of uncertainty. The ego-based mind, that is the aspect in us all, is never certain. It only thinks it might be certain, and it may substitute and say, well, I'm sure, but it's never certain. When it says, well, I'm sure this is the way it is, there's always an open door for doubt there. So the ego-based mind is never certain, and this makes all separate parts strangers to each other of the whole mind, which is now fragmented. Whoa, did I go deep there? Because I intended to. I wanted to drag you into some deep water on that one. But and then this essence of defense, we can say, where attack is prepared, I'd like to say. What I mean is, no wonder. It's no wonder that we are afraid of our own real potential that sits in the power of your real consciousness, that is of heaven, which is your true home. We seem to want to exercise from our human consciousness rather than from our heavenly consciousness, which is eternal. So if we can learn to find the difference, but you can right now learn to find the difference at this very moment easily, and to escape and surrender all those misperceptions, assumptions, projections. We assume things about everything that's said in the world, and that just confuses us more, doesn't it? So let's not confuse right-mindedness with knowledge. Let me say that. Right-mindedness means you are sensing your creator. You're sensing your link to your creator as a human. From the ego, there's a part of the ego. The ego is not all bad. The ego is the human body. The human body is all ego. What's beyond the body is of heaven. So while we're operating in this world, we sense, when we're sensing things of heaven, that's right-mindedness operating from ego, which is good because it's touching our home. But so your right mind, which often senses the power of your subconscious, is only applicable to when right-minded perception, which does not lead to knowledge. Now, let me explain this further. Knowledge, lead to knowledge. Let me explain. It's where you hear that voice about finding your purpose in life. In other words, you may have that intuition, that inner feeling that this is the avenue that you need to take. This is the path at the branch in the road that you need to take. And you do so because you're trusting that voice. That is right-mindedness as an ego, but it's also heaven coming in saying, go this way. If you choose the wrong path, you know it right away, but you say, oh, why did I choose that path? And you went there anyway. So I hope that you can know the difference in that. And by the way, I've got a detailed in book 3 of the series called And Then I Knew My Real Abundance. I've got a detailed chapter, couple of chapters in that about how to know the difference. It's called And Then I Knew My Real Abundance. It's the 3rd book of the trilogy. Oh my gosh, if you don't have all 3 of my books, please get them right now. But anyways, let me add one more thing about the Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles deeply touches that right-mindedness, when properly utilized, is the correction for wrong-mindedness. Wrong-mindedness is where when you took that turn at the branch of the road and you knew all along it wasn't the right turn to take, but you took it anyway. There, you took it out of fear and doubt, and that's wrong-mindedness. When you take the other branch because you're hearing the voice, go this way, even though there's fear going on inside of you, but you still hear that intuition, kind of a feeling, that sensation saying, yes, go this way. Even though you're afraid, still go this way. That is right-mindedness. So it's where your inner voice is more clearly heard. Oh, I got to clap my hands on that. How much more can that mean to us when we are in a life that we strive to get success and happiness? All we have to do is understand the ego versus our naturalness, which is heaven. And we can make them both work together. When we do, we call this miracle-minded. We call this making miracle-minded perceptions, because miracles can only be possible by the corrected perception that begins the healing process. So let me back up and say, if your perception is confused over anything going on in your life, any matter, big or small, bring it to the Holy Spirit. What is the Holy Spirit again? For those of you that don't know me, for those of you that do know me, know what I'm saying when I say the Holy Spirit. But the Holy Spirit is your link to God. It's the wholeness. It is your whole consciousness behind the human body. So bring it to the Holy Spirit, which is your divine consciousness, your inner guide who calls on you from the power of your inner consciousness, your inner real consciousness that in this world we like to call the subconscious mind. And then listen to his voice. The Holy Spirit can be called a she. Those of you that know me understand that. And so, but you're confused. In other words, let me back up and say your confused perception is not going to transcend to a clear outlook of the matter that's preparing the groundwork for a shift over to knowledge unless you grab on to real consciousness. Real knowledge is real consciousness beyond the body. It's the real knowledge is when you decided to take that turn at the fork in the road, even though you were feared, but you heard that voice saying, yes, go this way. The fear that was holding you back from going that way, even though you did go that way, the fear that was holding you back was the ego saying, oh, it might be a little danger out there. But you decided to go that way anyway because there was a true essence that told you to go that way. And that defeated the falsity of the ego's fear and doubt. Oh, I hope that makes sense. Does it? Please message me and tell me that it does. So, regardless of the time it takes to arrive at real consciousness or at knowledge from the power that you sense within you while in this world, the Holy Spirit will have you perceiving in a positive and fresh way, just as how with my incarceration while I was in prison for 8 years, for those of you that know my story, and if you don't know my story, then I'm not going to dwell on it anyway, but it's told in my books. It's how I got through 8 years of a 10-year prison term. I was also seeing a lot of negative experiences every single day, but I was seeing the negative as fuel for the road ahead of me, for where I'm going, which leads me right here now today in this podcast, talking to you. Hey everyone, please support my work. Thanks for listening to me today. I put a lot of effort into all that I do, and I want to help everyone around the world. I want to help people get on the right track. I want to help people make the right turn at the branch of the road. That's why I do these podcasts. That's why I write my blogs. That's why I do videos at YouTube. That's why I'm writing more books, because it's my life now. And it's what I like to do. Anyways, please support me. Please follow me at my website. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, if you're not a subscriber of my YouTube channel, please click on subscribe right now as you're listening to this. Okay, please. Well, anyways, enough said, and I've got to go here. My time is running out. I enjoy these podcasts so much, and I call it For a Better Life podcast, and I think you can know why. So I hope you're thinking a lot about your own life, the beauty that sits within you, and just reflect that to the material world. And when you do that, it makes your life situation while you're living in this world so much easier, because you're living off that reflection of your inner beauty. I hope that makes sense too. Until next time, God bless. James Nussbaumer, signing off.